That's super cool.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other general share outs people want to toss in there? Well, we definitely had some cool things conferences wise over the last month. We had the National Learning Communities Conference, and so David, myself, Robert, and Chris Schnick all attended that one this year. And let's see, I think it's just me and David on the call who were there, right? I don't think I see any.
Yeah, I don't think Robert's here, and I think the dean declined today's meeting.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably one of these events. I saw him actually over in the student pavilion.
Well, Chris Ryder asks, "How was it? Do you want to?" So.
How was it? It was good. I think it was a good time to be in Iowa as far as that goes. Which depending, I guess, on your perspective, you might find that hard to believe, or you might completely believe it. But it wasn't that cold. It was a beautiful, sunny weather while we were there. I think it, got worse after we left. There was still some color on the leaves, so it was a good time to be there. And as for those that have been to the conference, it's always a good group, like super friendly. No one's kind of grilling you about your research and your data and scrutinizing. You have and maybe that's a bad thing, but it's a good place to go if you're a new LC person or presenting for the first time. I think it's a very kind audience. Did we freeze out?
I did something silly.
Okay.
1 second. I'll fix it. There you go.
Greg's coming back. Oh yeah, there we go.
Sorry. Yeah. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Other than that, one of the themes that seemed to stand out to me a little bit, and maybe it resonates if I hear Greg say it often in these meetings and others, but what was it? The sense of belonging seemed to be, though it wasn't a theme for the conference. It did seem to come up a lot more than I can recall over the years, and so that was just seemed, like I said, to resonate. And then there was a really good presentation by Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. It's been doing this for a long time, but they just lost the program last year. Long time, 20 plus 30-year program because of the change in administration. So they finally had a chance to do a comparison with a control group. They finally had a group of students that were not in LCs because LCs were mandatory for first-year students at Corpus Christi. So now that they were not, they kind of had a control group. So they did a study that seemed to really suggest that learning communities did make a big difference in students, and they focus not so much on retention, which is the usual approach, but actually on students' academic standing, and then the academic standing led to better retention. But they had really impressive data that they were going to look to publish and do stuff with. But that was a nice thing, because I know that we always talk about retention being one of the big consistent positive data points for us, and it just gave me another way to think about what we could look at in terms of academic standing. So maybe that's the two things.
So sense of belonging and retention.
And that academic academic standing is an approach on maybe a better or a different approach on the retention thing.
And then we also had, but I don't know if I see Mary Ellen and Maria on, but the Maricopa Student Learning Success Conference. Did anybody here on the call go to that?
I went to that. Sorry. I went to that, but I didn't go to their session because I went to the service learning session.
That's allowed. What'd you get out of the service learning session?
It was from Scottsdale. They're just starting up their service learning program, and it was more of a rah-rah for service learning, which was nice.
Okay. Cool.
I can give a brief update. Sorry, Chris. Mary Ellen will be joining us. She's in an IC meeting, so when she gets here, maybe not immediately when she gets here, but when she gets here, we can maybe hear from her and her presentation as a follow-up.
What did you get out of it, Chris?
I wasn't there for Mary Ellen and Maria's. I was gone. Theirs must have been in the third slot. I was gone by then. I had to leave. Yeah, it was good. Actually, ironically, the speaker at, I guess it was the keynote in the beginning. His name escapes me now. I'm on the list. I can't remember. But anyway, he spoke a lot about things that were so foundational to learning communities. It seemed obvious to me. You know, community, stacking hips, maybe not saying the words learning community, but all of the attributes of learning communities. So I thought that was poignant. I'm sorry, I'm not finishing my thought. He was using that to describe why Maricopa is doing such a great job. But again, he wasn't using the word learning communities. He was saying this is what we need now more than ever. Anyway, that's all.
Yeah. All the values that learning communities brings to the table. Cool.
Precisely.
Cool. Cool. Thanks for sharing. Well, if we're jumping into some of this, what do we have? So there's also Wednesday was the Hips and Honors Showcase, and so Malik, it's good to see you. I feel like it's been a month. It's been too long. But we did have the Hips and Honors Showcase that was Wednesday. Anybody go to that? Have students that participate in that?
I did, but it was for my stats class, not my learning community.
How did it go either way? Because it's still one of those things we were connected to. So.
It was right. It was kind of slow traffic during my student session, but there was a lot of posters there.
Cool. And then Trisha, what do you got? You're muted. I think you're muted, Trisha. I think you're muted, Trisha. I'm not sure if you're coming through. I don't know if I said it quietly.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry. My learning community was Renee, CRE 101 and English 102. Our other student was there. He did a fabulous job. And when we were there, it was really busy and it was really awesome. A lot of students were coming by asking for him to present. And yeah, I felt like it was a good turnout. People were very engaged. We saw a lot of really cool presentations. I learned all about how I could get a franchise and run a business. So yeah, from the kid from my student. But yes, it was very informative. The kids did a great job. So yeah, love it. Especially for an LD, I love that we could get to participate.
Nice. Cool. We'll come back to the what I have as the group opening in a minute, but there are some just a quick couple things for our national connections. If you've ever attended the national conference, they automatically, for the last few years at least, they do have us. They kind of automatically enroll you into the National Learning Communities Association, and so they do have a few workshops going on. Still this semester, and so if you get a chance to participate in any of those, do that. They're going to have, they did let us know that they're going to have the National Learning Communities Conference in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the video blurb, I don't know what else, promotional for that looked really cool. We did also, they did make a point during the lunch of the last day to call out and thank CGC for bringing the conference back after COVID. So we did get kudos. I think everyone else was gone, but I was.
Yeah, someone at the airport told me about it.
Yeah, they're like, is CGC still here? I'm like, I'm still here. But yeah, so they called us out in a good way to say thank you for kind of being the ones to kick into the new phase post-COVID. Yeah. In 2022, so that was nice of them.
Actually, our flight was delayed an hour, and because of that, we got to see the folks from Northland Pioneer, Chris, and they were the ones that were like, oh, they gave you a shout out at lunch. But anyhow, thank God for a delayed flight.
Nice. I hope they're doing well.
Yeah, they had a good group. They might have had 6 people there, 5 or 6 people.
Yeah, it was a big group. We also, just to cover some bases, there is opportunity for professional development. We want to know what that should look like. I know that Anna Losky is working with all the hips to try and figure out what that might look like for all of them, or how what used to be SLSC funds might get distributed for professional development. But we want to ask that question of what kind of workshops or spring or summer training is anybody interested in? And then also there's the Washington Learning Communities Consortium we went to last year in April again. It's already, I think, open for registration, I think.
That's true.
So they're just trying to get you enrolled early. But if you are at all interested, even if you're not sure if it'll work with your schedule, if you'll put your name under that that says action item there. If you're interested, you think you might be able to go or might be interested in going to the Washington LC's consortium again, the Integrative Learning Consortium retreat, put your name there in the agenda. And it is one of those things where they have a series of workshops, but it also just ended up being a really great kind of team building and team planning opportunity, I think, last year for a lot of the teaching partners. So just to
Hey, Greg,
yeah.
I don't know if anyone else does, but I don't have edit access to the agenda to write name in it for attendance or for this.
Some people's coordinators. I thought I put it here. Anyone with link can edit. That's my fault. Thank you for letting me know.
I got you, Beth. I got you.
Weird. Okay. Should be fixed now. But yeah. So so we already name dropped you. I'm joking. But yeah. We were, if you're up for it, we were going to ask how the Student Success Conference went.
Yeah, I'll talk about that. That's fine. Want me to talk about that right now?
Yeah, if you're up for it.
No,
We
that's
can
fine.
wait. We can give you a couple minutes. Yeah.
Let's get the podium in place for you, and then, yeah.
Running from the parking lot. No, I'm joking. Well, I was really surprised to see how many people were in our breakout session. I think we had like 35 plus in person, and then Miguel joined our session. There was like 40 online, I guess. But it was interesting because, I spoke about our LCs and the teacher conference that me and Michelle and Kate went to. And so this one was geared more towards student success for the audience and the topic. So we really explained what learning communities were in the beginning, and we talked a lot about that and high impact practices. And people seemed very interested in that. So we just talked about from that perspective. But then we obviously shared our curriculum, and I talked about obviously meeting those writing learning outcomes and how that worked in both classes. And then she talked a lot about like the student success of how we integrated, the college resources and fields of interest, those type of things. So, but people were really interested, and we had a lot of questions. And we did talk about, obviously, like it has to be institutional buy-in, like we have co-leads, we have advisors, and then we talked about the different modalities of learning communities. Like it doesn't have to be like combined courses taught at the same time. You can do like a shared project or, it went really well. I was really surprised. People were really interested, especially in the FYE setup with the course. And I know that, our president came and we talked about, I think he really like got it, I felt like he understood because I also talked about with things in regards to assessment, but also like RSI, the way me and Mary Ellen, like there's two eyes in the class. Obviously it's a hybrid course, it's not online, but that we were just able to give that more one-on-one instruction and closer assessment and quicker feedback. And so when I talked to CJ about it, he just, I think he really understood, like, this is just more than just academic success. Like this is like student success, and so, I went better than I thought, there was a lot of interest in it. So it was interesting. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. I'm glad you guys were able to do that because you have a very cool pairing and you've done some really good work, and because it's generally promoting LCs in a place that, like I know we've had people from different colleges in the district who are interested, but it's like that like trying to see how all the behind the scenes stuff works. I think it helps them to get a little more insight. So thank you for doing that.
Well, yeah, and I think with the FYE courses, that alone is a high impact practice, right? And so I think that's something district-wide where a lot of colleges are like, what do we do with our FYE courses? Like they're useful, but how can we make them more useful? And I was talking to someone from South Mountain this morning, actually, that was interested of what we were doing. And I said, honestly, FYE courses could probably be tied into any class if you did that a certain way. It makes more sense with an English class or reading, but I could see that just overall being like better for Maricopa of how people teach FYE. So
Yeah.
I completely agree.
yeah.
And then, God, we feel like we've been saying it for about 2 years. This is the first time to have one on the ground happening. And I know I've said it already, but you guys should certainly put in to present next year at the national conference in Charlotte, because of one, people are doing these FYE courses all across the country. This is
Yeah.
as popular as guided pathways in terms of, let's say, a trend, and people are trying to figure out how these things look. And I think it's Harper College of Chicago that maybe did a similar thing, 7 credits, I think they presented last year, but not with developmental. I think it was English 101, let's say a psych, and then an FYE embedded, and the FYE was online, and the other 2 were normal, for lack of a better word, on a Friday. But that's the only other place where I've seen anybody doing anything with the FYE other than saying, oh, we do FYE.
Yeah.
So.
And it was kind of a rocky start in the beginning, just because, well, one, we hadn't taught before, and we were trying to understand we were just, I guess you would say, a month ahead of the students, but I know I don't have the data yet, and it will be interesting to collect that, but I do know my grades are much higher than they were last year in WAC. I feel like the percentage of students passing is higher, but I also feel like just the overall, I had a lot more A's, I don't remember if we even had C's, so I just felt like overall the student success rates with retention and like just grades are just so much better and higher because of that. So
You're hired.
keep me.
Miguel says FYE is common ground for new literacies and interdisciplinarity in teaching and learning best practices. So it attracts a lot of attention and is an easy sell point on benefits of LCs. And then Alyssa, you can put FYE 101 online with an LC, and that would be great to help hold students accountable and help them with some of the trickier assignments. Yeah, do you mean like mixing online versus hybrid or in person, like having one of the courses?
Well, I just found I've had students in the 101 and FYE, not in my section, but in others, and it's been nice to connect with them again. And I found for teaching it online and hybrid, my online students struggle more, and so if they had that additional checkpoint with the instructor from being in the LC, it just probably would help a lot with student success. And I'm not sure from Audra's standpoint if she sees lower success rates with the online versus the hybrid, but I've seen that from teaching in those modalities.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to, I think this is, we've said it before this semester, but it's a really great, you guys are doing a really great job with that pairing as a starter to any FYE with an LC, because you guys are kind of, you're doing a good job integrating it and showing that FYE doesn't like get taken over or corrupted by having LCs in it, and, through the pairing, and just showing that it is something possible and doable. And so, yeah, thanks for being the trailblazers on that. All right, well, let's do I had a group opening question here. So I've been watching a lot of stuff and reading stuff from Simon Sinek lately, and he says that a community is a group of people who agree to grow together. So I was hoping you guys would share or just talk a little bit. With whom do you feel like you've agreed to grow together in the season of life that you're in? Whether it's the last couple months, whether it's a teaching partner. I know not everybody on here is faculty all the time, but we certainly, as a committee, have tried to kind of boost that through a variety of things. But the question as it stands is, who do you feel like you've agreed to grow together in the season with, or what are the growth goals you feel like you've shared with people? You don't feel like talking, you want to treat it like a free write and post it into the chat, you can do that. It is, if a community is a group of people who agree to grow together, with whom do you feel you have agreed to grow together in the season of life you're in? And maybe what are some of those like shared goals that you are trying to grow together with? In prepositions are cool.
I think that's
I think
something
Renee
that,
Root has something he wants to say.
Sorry.
What happened?
stop it, Chris.
My hand.
Vanessa,
I can jump in with something. I was going to say that our learning community has given me the opportunity to just think of different approaches to teaching FYE. And so I think that has placed us in a position, or placed me in a position where I'm being asked to stretch myself while I'm also asking my students to do the same. And so I think really positioning myself as a learner with them, like I think myself and my teaching partner, we're growing alongside our students. So it really has felt like we are a community of learners all trying something new, which has been really exciting.
nice. Very cool. Thanks for kicking off that. Austin, hi. How you doing?
Hello. Good. How are you?
Good. So we're just we're kind of touching base on this question. If a community is a group of people who agree to grow together, who do you feel like you've agreed to grow together with in your current place, and what are some of those goals? Go for it, John.
Vanessa was saying is, for the first time in a very, very long time, I'm teaching creative writing, and I feel like I have a closer proximity to that than I do like essay writing, and so I'm able to kind of grow with my students because and I'm sharing with them my own struggles with creative writing because we're all kind of struggling with the same things, like how to create an authentic character, right? How to create dialogue that has confrontation, whatever it is. We're all doing the same thing. So I kind of feel like I've kind of grown with them, and I'm teaching that, and with that growth has kind of sparked a new interest in creative writing that I haven't had for a very long time. So it's been great. So,
That's really cool.
thanks.
Thanks for sharing, John. Yeah, it is fun when you're growing with students, whether it's connected to class or or I know you're doing the film club too, right? I'll share, sometimes, along those same lines, sometimes I don't realize how much I enjoy creating stories with students until I jump in or it's been a long week. But I'll share with you guys this little creature. Let's see, where's it gonna show up? Oh. So a student hand crochet knitted this week as a Baba Yaga stuffy. I'll see if I can put it on this one if it does it the same. But yeah, so they just came in and kind of handed it to me, and we're so excited because we've been having that mythological creature show up. And so I don't know that we had, if no one like explicitly said we're going to do this together or we're going to have this thing, but I think sometimes just being together and doing life together, sometimes even if it's not an explicit goal, you kind of rip off each other and kind of get that benefit through community. John, you sharing about creative writing kind of got me thinking about that.
Well, I'll add it. It's it's not just that. I mean, it's writing in general because I'm teaching a learning community for the first time in a couple semesters with the Holocaust Studies class, and I've certainly taught the class by itself, but I had to re-envision it a little bit paired with English 101. And one of the things I'm trying to get students to do, with thesis statements and trying to have a point, is that I do want them to come up with something that I like to think is kind of, original is maybe not the right word because it puts a lot of pressure on students in a way, but something that's kind of unique and original, for lack of a better word. And somebody, one of the more astute students was like, I just find how am I going to turn anything into something original when there's so much scholarship, you know, in this field or so many fields, how do I come up with something like that? And I had to kind of like, not backpedal, but kind of like, well, okay, maybe not original, but like, you know, you have to take a certain walk around it to kind of give it an angle that makes it contestable in a way that you didn't have to kind of persuade somebody of it versus just like a statement. But they had me, you know, like, and so I had to come up with some examples of like, oh, well, maybe that. And because I'd read their drafts, I could say, well, maybe you turn this, like, this is the way to do that. But I kind of just, you know, it made me reiterate, like, all those times you read the introduction to, or the preface to, let's say, a work of scholarship that your professor that you studied with, that doesn't happen that often, right? You read, often you read something that your dissertation chair, thesis chair wrote, and in there there's some acknowledgement, and they'll thank their graduate students and things like that for, you know, their ideas. And so I actually had a book like that in front of me, and I said, this is the first time where I see, like, this is what happens. It's because of my conversations with you repeatedly, you know, about these topics over semester and semester and semester, that I'm formulating ideas about these things that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So we are kind of, you know, we are kind of building that knowledge together in a way, and then I'm better prepared for the next group of students, you know, when they want these explanations about things. But it's not because I've got them pre-prepped or prepared in my head. It's because of the live kind of, you know, interaction, that authentic, unscripted experience that you have in a classroom. And I think especially more in a learning community where you've got twice as much time, right? To kind of, we could spend some time on that tangent that day, but I do think it was a meaningful thing, and we got to do it together. And
Yeah.
Mutually beneficial.
Any other thoughts on that before we roll on? Go for it, Beth.
I don't know that Miguel and I have agreed to grow together, but it seems like every semester we figure out different things and adjust to different things with our students, and we always obviously have different groups of students, but continue to grow to let these students know what their responsibilities are in working together, and making adjustments. So anyway, but that's kind of what LC is anyway.
Just to add to that, I've taken stuff that Beth uses in her GBS and shared it out with great success to the standalone 101 course. Like she does a stock market kind of competition online, an activity, and even my nursing students were like, oh, investment, that's something I wouldn't think about, and it's got value. So we can bring stuff that we see with each other to our standalone courses. And we look at students as three-dimensional beings rather than someone enrolled in a particular course with a particular discipline, which I think is where the future is going. A silo-free, discipline-free approach to learning.
Yeah, yeah. I think it helps anchor the learning that way too. That's really cool. I know that Pam and I and Mike and I for sure, and Casey have stumbled into presentations in learning communities because they were doing, like, one of my favorites from a couple of years back is the Math 187 class was doing like vector addition, where, you know, pilots will use it to figure out, you know, what direction, physics will use it for various things. But it was fun to sit. I had been talking about like student success because it was that time of the semester where students kind of needed a pep talk, and it was like we stumbled into this connection of the vectors counting is like the influence different types of people have, or different people in your life have on you. And it's like some may be pulling you in a completely different direction, and some may be the headwind or whatever, and that kind of thing. So we had fun thinking about it that way. And yeah, those things sometimes those crossovers happen. It's because you've kind of, I guess to Beth's initial thing, I don't know if Miguel agreed to it, right? Like choosing to be in the room together, like there's maybe that counts as an implicit contract to grow together, hopefully. But yeah.
Well, I think just to build on that, the different points of view on the same topics or treating the same topic at different points along the semester, like Beth does one activity in her third week that I revisit in our 11th week, that adds a lot of value because it emphasizes the learning part rather than just an activity or an assessment. And the repetition with different eyes is really good for the students and for us, for where we can revise and be better teachers.
Anna, I saw you jump in on the call. We briefly touched on the fact that the Hips and Honor Showcase happened. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how that went?
Sure. Yeah, I don't want to interrupt whatever we were talking about, but yeah, I added a link to a folder with different photos, so you can check it out. If your students presented, most of them were, I shouldn't say most, a lot of them were represented in photos. So feel free to take a look through that. We had 98 students signed up to present. I think only one that I know of was not able to come, so that's still a pretty good chunk of folks. It was really pretty busy. I know we had at least one learning community represented by Renee. I'm not sure if she's here today, but Renee and Trisha had their student, and he was really well spoken. It was a really fun presentation that he gave about cell phone use and being mindful about that and how it impacts your mental health. So, yeah, it was a really cool. It's always my favorite time of the year. So we got so many good posters from art history. We had a couple science. We had a chemistry student, sociology with Marie. That was a counseling student who did her project on trauma and trauma counseling and how that can be represented through art. Yeah, so if there's any questions, I'd love to answer them, but really awesome. It was a really awesome day. I'm really proud of how it turned out.
Thanks. All right, well, jumping forward into a bit of business. So I'll repeat because we had a few people add, and I think you guys have editing permissions now. But I know we're going to be working with Anna on professional development possibilities, but also if there's anything you guys want or need or would like to request, generally about spring or summer workshops or trainings, let us know. And if you're specifically as an action item, if you're interested in the Washington Integrative Learning Curriculum Planning Retreat in April, if you think you might possibly be able to do that, just put your name down there so we can kind of keep you in the loop or touch base with you to see if what you might need from us to get there, if at all possible. So, because it's been a really good team building opportunity, and even if you know someone who's new to learning communities and wants a basic introduction, it could be really good as a way to kind of onboard them to the culture of learning communities we have, and give them a chance to brainstorm and grow with the rest of us in that kind of nice, happy Washington environment in April. Yeah. Anna, do you have any other integrative learning updates at this point?
I don't believe so. I know we might as well share about the HIPS team that we're moving forward with. It's a group of, I think, 14 of us working on HIPS, and guiding the direction of where we're going with HIPS as a college. So both Greg and David are on that, so they're representing learning communities. Other than that, no updates from me.
We are going to we'd like to lean into LC assessment as we get closer to the semester. So if you think, anyone who's teaching course right now, if you think back to the expanded practices, if you want to use some of that kind of time for your LC in the next couple weeks, we'll be sent to gather some student artifacts as part of the expanded practices or the basic practices of consistency, where we're just trying to document what happened in an LC. I would encourage you to take some time to do that. We'll probably also send some prompts out as far as especially if you were in a new LC or if you're new to LCs, getting a reflection from you about your growth over the last 6 months as a new teacher, the type of planning you did. Because one part of learning communities that we're realizing is that it actually does work really well for professional development just intrinsically. And so we'd like to kind of capture those stories, especially for those of you who are with a new partner or who haven't taught LCs and are doing that for the first time. Like what has growth looked like, or for you, are there systems, we'll send some prompts out. But as you're thinking toward the end of the semester and thinking about the kind of time allotment you have, if you wouldn't mind trying to save an hour of that time to gather some student artifacts or assignment artifacts from the courses you built this semester, and then give some time to reflect when we get those prompts sent out. Yeah, we're also going to be revisiting our data from the past and things that we regularly collect. We've talked about this before, and spend some time trying to put together materials that better tell the story of LCs, so that as we get new faculty or as we get new administrators, we have materials that are a little smoother for onboarding them to and culture setting to learning communities as a high impact practice on campus. Yeah. Any questions about that? What questions do you have? I should frame that in a good teacher frame. What questions do you have about that? Let's see assessment. Maria, thank you for taking advantage of the bagels. Unfortunately, those of you who aren't here don't get Einstein bagels. I'm just saying. Anyway, we'll jump on. We do have Austin here. And for advising specifically. So share anything you have, and then I know I asked you questions, and those are still kind of hazy, but whatever you've got for us.
So, what I did this morning is I just kind of looked at like class and what the current trends are within the LCs for the spring semester, and so there's 2 LCs that still have 25 seats, but I believe we're still early enough that those are going to fill, especially with the holidays coming up. So a lot of students aren't thinking, they're trying to get appointments, but I feel like once like Thanksgiving happens and then finals happen is really when students really are like, oh shoot, I need to think about spring a little bit more, because they got past the midterm section of the semester, and so I feel like those seats will fill in the coming weeks. So, but some are feeling great. Like of course, the WAC and English 101 courses, those always seem to make. But yeah, I think those are going well. Do you all have any questions? Or what I should phrase it like, great. What questions do you all have for me? I did teach FYE, but I'm not right now. So, what questions do you all have for me on that side? Bueller? Anybody? Yeah.
I know Julie and I had an interesting conversation yesterday, because our numbers are pretty low. We're the Psych 132 and 102. I think we only have maybe 3 students right now. And we're recognizing like maybe it would, because those are, well, the 132 is more specific for psychology majors. Like I have students that are going to my 102 class and they wanted to sign up, but they don't want to take the 132 because they're not psych majors. And so that hurts my end because I have a lot of 101 classes. But we also talked about maybe it would have been better if we did a Psych 101 and 101 together and, then follow us that way, because doing that more advanced or psychology course is what's really the barrier right now. And we're realizing that. And even the Psych 132 classes are not filling up very well. I mean, like they have some that are full, but they have some that are just sitting there without the LC, right? Where the 102, those make more, just because it's a general requirement. So we're kind of having this conversation because we want to do an LC together, but we want to be realistic about where our enrollment is right now, right? And like we need some classes to fill and things like that. So we're just being realistic about the situation that we want to do it, but we're gonna like look at each other's syllabus right now, but we might have to put it on pause if the numbers don't fill up, and because you guys need me to teach 102 if there's classes, and she's in a position right now too where she can let go of the class if she needs to based off her load. So we can wait for a while. It's not gonna hurt us, but we're just looking at how we can make this more effective of starting with maybe Psych 101 and English 101.
Sorry. I'll add one thing that some of the folks who are in my division heard earlier this week, and it just came out of Division Chair Council on Wednesday, but the report on enrollment for Spring 26 for Chandler Gilbert right now is that across the college, we're down compared to this time last year. And also across Maricopa, we're down compared to all of our sister colleges at a particular moment. And so I think that what Austin pointed out about our students probably coming back to enroll a little after the holidays will be a thing. But we're lagging a little bit, so don't feel too bad about the enrollments because those students have not enrolled. It's not like they're bypassing the learning community. They've just not enrolled. I did send an email to all the English or everybody in my division about kind of promoting students about enrolling for spring, but also for all the English 101 faculty to promote the 7 English 102 LCs that we have rolling out for the spring. So that email only went out like yesterday. And so I'll also send one to students over the weekend. So maybe between that communication and just the late enrolling that's going to happen, we may see things pick up. I'm optimistic about that right now, but we are a little behind. So maybe it's not surprising. And if you got 3 or 4, that's certainly better than the couple that have 0. So in that sense, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, and with that too, enrollment trends fluctuate from semester to semester, right? And what students are needing too. And so I think LCs are great. It just also depends on what the student needs, right? Do they need that social behavioral, that cultural, or that global still? It's like with that English, it can vary depending on majors too. And so it's very much Psych 132. I'm in STEM now, but like I can advise on any student, and so I see STEM students that want to take Psych 132, because it has that psychological component that they may see if they're going into engineering or even in the medical fields. So it's also probably a good learning community for students that are thinking like I'm thinking STEM here, but mortuary science requires the psychology course as well as one of the prereqs. And so hopefully in the next couple of weeks, like I'm booked out through December 3rd right now. Certain days, but once we come back from the new year, that's really when we start seeing a lot of students coming in. So if you're not seeing enrollment, I would say if you don't see enrollment right after the new year, those classes. But I would say from what I've seen over the last 3+ years that I've been here, for spring, it's a very different group of students coming into, even like brand new students than what we see in the fall, right?
You're saying you're having more brand new students for the spring than?
No, typically we see more brand new students for the fall than we do for the spring, right? And so those 100 level 101, 102 classes, it also depends on if students come in with dual enrollment too. And so it's playing that fine line of this learning community would be great for you. And all of us in advising try to push students to learning communities when both of the classes work, just because we know the impact that it has on it. Right? You all working together as faculty and making sure that students are going to be successful in all of the courses.
Well, and I think with, learning communities, especially with the higher level classes, it would be great if we had some field of interest focused learning communities, but I know that's hard to do. I mean, so people can get a psychology degree here, right? But we don't have a psychology less necessarily like cohort, right? Whereas like nursing, those type of things. I know, like for example, when I was at CAC, we actually had a learning community. We didn't call it that, but we had students that took 101 and 102 that were nursing majors, right? And that was very successful and geared for that program. And so the students followed each other from 101 and 102. So that's what I kind of think about with psychology, like Kate and has her LC for psychology, right? Would it make more, I just feel like there needs to be more like partnership with the LCs in regards to that somehow. I don't know how that would work or how to get that started, but I see this being a problem of having LCs with higher classes without it being kind of implemented early, or having like a psychology cohort of some type, I guess you would say. So.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest cohorts on campus. I mean, like literally, other than the engineering and the health sciences and the business transfer, psychology as a major by itself is like the top 4.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know how we could coordinate that, but I see that being something that's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this one is like this specific pairing, like we've done psych pairings with English before. This is a new pairing with that specific class. So we think the numbers are there based on enrollment patterns of the last couple springs. And so, but it's also every time we try a new LC, it's like, what's going to happen? Can we
Correct,
get the people in?
Mhm.
But I like that that it's good to recognize that while it can feel a little stressful. I've had I've had springs where it's like, where's the students? The students aren't there. It can be a little stressful for it to be almost Thanksgiving and not seeing enrollments trending upward in an LC or having any. But it is one of those things where it's you kind of get into this rhythm with it, right? And students are in the, I don't know if you guys are feeling it, but like last month and this month, it's like I feel like I'm doggy paddling toward the surface, and I'm almost there, as far as work goes. And I think students are in that same kind of place. So I like that if we're thinking about the rhythms that students get into, we don't have to worry too far yet, like Austin was saying about the enrollments. But we can, like ones like this where it's new. I think it's we're trying to keep a good eye on it. And I know Alyssa put into the chat, like she got permission from Fernando to send a psych email out too. So that's going to help. But you're right. The upper divisions, the second semester, second, third, fourth semester type courses, they can be a little more complex because because students don't do the path the same way every time. And so trying to keep an eye on those, yes, definitely.
The other thing, going back to what you had said, Maria, there might be a benefit to you and Julie doing an English 101 with Psych 101. Not to replace that, but to do it in the fall.
Right.
To bring those students into the spring.
Right.
Granted, I know we already have them with Fernando and Kate, so that have to be carefully, put into a schedule so there's no conflicts. But I would think, in one way, the numbers are certainly there for Psych 101 and English 101. And if you had two of them, which is part of my original plan about having LCs for each field of interest, is if you have two in the fall, that would be feeder LCs to one in the spring. And then that could be the one with the 132. Regardless, let's say that, Psych feels like that's too many LCs for us in the fall. I don't know that you scheduled it this way, but maybe what would be a benefit if it was scheduled at the same time as the Kate Fernando one in the fall, so those students could roll right into
Right.
yours because of their schedule. And that certainly is an audience that if you've not even dropped by and visited this semester, one of the two of you might try to do it before it's over. But the fact is maybe, at the same days and times you'll lose some people, but you might get some people. But that's a nice thing for students, and things are the same fall and spring to just kind of make it easy transfer over. So as you reconsider for next time, there's a couple of things.
And we do have a couple more. I'll share that in a minute. Austin, is there anything you can tell us about the AJEC shift or anything? I know you said it's like there's a lot up in the air.
Yeah, I'm also part of their district-wide like general education council for the AJAC reimagination and everything like that. Part of the subcommittee for the natural science side of the house, but the things that I can tell you from the AJAC summit that my colleagues or our colleagues in advising me to, I was unfortunately not able to attend that day because I'm part of the mentorship program through Maricopa. But if you haven't submitted for the new AJAC designation, definitely get those in. And then with that, the way it's going to be set up is if students are fall of 26, spring of 26 and prior, their AJAC designations aren't changing. They're still going to follow the AJAC that we've known forever with like the English, the literacy, for the first year comp, literacy, math. Those sections aren't changing. If they're coming in for this next year, that's that first year that it's going to be. And the way that they're running it is the students that are on the previous AJAC, or what we call the current AJAC, that will be up until the summer of 29 semester, and everybody will be shifted over to the new reimagined, is what they're hoping for at that point, is for that to be changed. And so just making sure that you're getting those requests in. If you've already heard from like your IC or your division chair that your course has already been submitted, no need to resubmit. But there's still a lot of unknowns at the district level on what exactly these sections are gonna entail. And so can't really share out too much on that just because we've been told not to, but at least there's gonna be just one AJAC for all the designations. And so that's gonna be a shift for us, especially in advising, because we have the AJAC A, the S, and the B, right? Previously, depending on what students were following, so still a lot of unknowns.
So then, just for, I guess, for the sake of for LC team, because some of the tags are changing, and I think some of the courses, all courses are required to go down to one tag, right? Is that what
Yes.
I'm,
Yeah, there's no more double dipping.
Yeah.
So, cultural, global, historic awareness areas, that's no longer a thing.
Okay, so part of that means that as we go and we're trying to anticipate, if you're considering new LCs that aren't bread and butter courses, we might want to be just have in the back of our head that we can look at enrollment trends, but as the if we look to the past couple of years toward the next couple of years, students will be making different kinds of decisions because those course tags are changing if they're doing planning. So recognizing that that's a factor in what LCs we choose and having that in the back of our heads just in case is just something we want to keep on our radar. Yeah, cool. Anything else, Austin?
No, I wish I could share more with y'all, but a lot still.
Thanks for sharing what you could.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any other questions about advising from Austin at this point?
I don't know that he can answer. I don't know that anybody can answer. And I was looking at that thing that was just sent out, with all the tags in there, and I didn't go through all of them, but I certainly didn't see anything that was in the Institute of the Americas or whatever that one is. And I'm wondering, is that one of those ones that's like, guess what? We don't have any classes that are in this area, and we have to decide what those are. Or is there like some of them that have been submitted and they're making a decision, or you like, I don't know, but I didn't see any of those.
From what my colleague gave me on the notes from the AJAX summit that they held at South Mountain, that one still just says still under development.
Okay. That's what I'd heard too, but I was wondering. And then I was also thinking like, okay, which courses could we, kind of rearrange and maybe get over there? Because it's going to be the only one with a tag. That will also be a very popular course.
Alyssa says, I think they've been submitted and there's some discussion at the Gen Ed counts.
Yes.
Yeah. Things they tell us we can tell. They say don't tell anybody. Gotta play that fine line of.
Don't want to be Tom Holland and Marvel.
No, I don't want to be Tom. I love to be Tom Holland and play Spider-Man, but that's a whole conversation.
Yeah. I know Jessamy's not here. Was it Avery? Are you on the call?
I think Avery was.
Represent?
Yeah, I'm here.
Is there any any updates or needs from us?
No, just updates right now, is we're doing a schedule build. The divisions are in schedule build time right now, so they're working on summer and fall 26. And those are due to our office, for scheduling curriculum, the last Friday of the semester, so then December 19th. And then our division will start, doing, QA and everything after that. And, just to reiterate, we're here to assist LCs in any way that we can. And just a reminder, if there's any, LC ideas that come up in January or, last minute additions or changes, just reach out to me directly, and she will coordinate the creation of those and just bypass the divisions altogether.
Avery, I'm going to ask a question for somebody that asked me or just a couple of minutes ago in an email. He may be on the line, but he may have had to leave. We had a couple of LCs, at least one that didn't make in the fall, so it was canceled. And so when the rollover schedule came in, it's not there. So when we just Shannon just had us verify our schedules for CCL division last week. I think the deadline was Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So this wasn't in the rollover, and can we still add this back in?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she just needs to, just recreate the class since it was canceled, and then submit the LC form as usual, and we'll build it.
Okay, and at this point, we can just go straight through Shannon versus to Jessamy because it's early.
Yeah, that's just it. Yeah, since you guys are still on schedule build right now,
Okay.
just directly to Jessamy is just in January, because the divisions should have turned in their schedule to us end of December.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
and just to, so this highlights another one of those like the rhythms as faculty we want to get into. That as we're thinking with LCs, it's good to be thinking a year out. So if sometimes if you're buried in fall, it's hard to think about next fall. But that if we can get into a healthy rhythm with recognizing scheduling and everything else that needs to happen to keep the build smooth, like requesting the courses or checking for the LC a year out, like that's or 10 months out, you know, it's a good practice to be in. It's hard to kind of, sometimes when you're in the thick of it, it's hard to remember. But if whatever reminders you need to give yourself as faculty, if you know you're kind of, it helps to have a sense of that yearly cycle. This is one of those moments for LCs to anchor, like, did I communicate? Is it on my, is it, did I check with my chair, my admin, to make sure that this LC or my courses are what they're supposed to be? Yeah, so just getting into that rhythm is a good thing to do. Action item here. So for those of you who are on the call or in the room, if you are planning to continue your fall LC again, if you would put your name down here, just so that we have official confirmation outside of, or in addition to any emails you may have sent and that kind of thing. So if you did an LC this fall or tried to do an LC this fall and you plan on repeating it, just make sure your name's in that part of the agenda to help David and I know who to follow up with or to make what to check on the schedule builds. Yeah.
Where, Greg?
So you have your name there in big red letters. Oh, it's that one. So it's under scheduling and says action item. Yeah, I've got it highlighted on the. I think I have it highlighted.
Oh, that was supposed to be for people interested in the Washington Center.
So that is
Moved. Yeah.
Yeah. Both are still good, but yeah. So the Washington Center one is up top. Where is it? Doo-ba-doo-doo.
And not in red.
Yeah, I'll make that a different color. How about that? Maybe we can make it, let's call it purple or something.
Green.
For funsies. Oh, green for Washington. I dig that. Let's do that. So.
But what I'm saying, okay. Something got moved because there was, maybe I just read it. Where is the Washington Center?
Up above about a page, 3/4 of a page up. So yeah, we're under professional development, and it'll be where people's names are green, and then red is the confirmation that you're going to repeat your schedule. You'll note my name is not on there because currently Pam is needing to shift and Casey is needing to shift to other duties. So my math LC is currently not on the books. If you know any friends interested in pairing with me for that, I've been asking around, but if that's always a possibility there. So for what it's worth.
All right, so hang on. I need to interrupt because I was putting my name and John's name. Beth couldn't have access to the document, and Alyssa Byer wrote something that she was interested. I meant to put that under the Washington Center.
Okay.
I don't want to play with this document anymore. I just want to tell you and have you do it, Greg.
I will copy paste for you. And if it's true for both, you can leave your name there, and I will paste that up.
Yeah, we are going to do the LC again in the fall, but the other thing is I wanted to add my name to interest in the Washington Center, and I am a little overwhelmed with this document, so I'm going to click edit it, stop looking at it, and I'll leave it to you. Thanks.
Okay. I think I fixed the thing, and you should be good to go. So I think I've got everybody's names on there where they're supposed to be. Thanks for letting me know. Marketing updates. Sandwich boards either are being placed today. I waited till after the rain. But I did get a request in for them to put 4 sandwich boards around the campus with our marketing materials, including the big one-pager and one of the fancier ones that I think you guys should have seen through email. But those will be around campus, placed either today or early next week, I think. And I've also put, we've got some other posters that have gone up either in the normal bulletin board places or oversized ones placed in classrooms and on classroom doors, assuming I don't get in trouble for that. But yeah, so those are some marketing things that have happened. You can also keep boosting student and faculty interviews in your own classes. And marketing is continuing to work on updating the CGC LC's webpage. So that's nice. So that's an ongoing long-term project. Faculty, you can request marketing for special LC events or co-teaching moments to add to your marketing materials. I know that's something that's true all the time. So I'm just keeping it there as an action item all the time. And then if you do need one of these flyers, I can either have you I can either have a batch printed out like I did for Julie last week or this week, and we've got a couple different versions with different pictures of students and stuff. Or if you know how to put in print shop requests, the one caveat that marketing has asked us for, which I'll actually put here, request 28-ounce white paper. So it's regular paper, and you have to put in the notes the 28-ounce nice for marketing paper, and they'll know what you mean, because marketing likes the flyers, the handouts we give to be glossy and stuff. There's no Dean Schnick here today because he's got fancy stuff. I will say there's been lots of talk about committee charters, and I haven't talked with you, David, yet, but I assume yeah. But at a minimum, we know we're gonna need to do a committee charter. I said I plan on doing a starter draft for us to revise in the spring. Basically, I don't want us to have a whole team get together to do a basic charter. I'd rather do the basic charter and then give it to you guys when it's like 80% there, and us add to that to minimize people's time and effort and stuff.
For what it's worth, and I realize that this is, it's dated, but back when Insight became a thing and there was that governance page in there for all the different academic initiatives, that was where our charters lived. And so there is a charter there, but it might need some updating and whatever. So there's some starter stuff there as far as that. I know we don't really go to, we used to put our agendas and minutes all there, and we don't really do that anymore since we all just got shared Google Docs to everything. But there is something there as a starter place back when we had to do these charters. God, it was 2015 or something like that.
Going down the list, college funding requests. Are there any new technologies, materials we might want to request for learning community specifically? There are a lot of different pots we might try and put these into. There are things like the Fund 715, right? That is for like $5,000 to $20,000 purchases to enhance the mission of the college or to forward the mission of the college instructionally with technologies. That could be some. Let's just make that a brainstorm. Does anyone have any thoughts about new technologies or materials we might request that would be good for your learning community, even if it's not something you would do in a normal standalone course, or you think might be good for all learning communities? I know it's a big, weird question.
You know, it's really nice to have the whiteboard space. I mean, I was lucky because Mary Ellen chose really good classrooms, and she's a little bit more familiar with the campus than I am. So that was so nice because I've been stuck in a couple classes where I had like one whiteboard behind the screen and it's been a pain. So she definitely picked the best classrooms for that. And also we had some updated desktops in there, and that helped. The students were using them, at least 1 or 2 students in every class period. So I think just making sure, you know, because they stay there often, is the environment best for people sitting there for 3 hours or more.
Yeah.
So I would say that was really nice to have that this year for the WAC courses, because sometimes they don't have the technology, or they do and it's not updated, and then just that whiteboard space, because she would write stuff and I would write stuff, and then we want it all up, right? So that was kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's so maybe just making sure that we have that utilization of whiteboard space. I know that's not a technology thing, but that was really useful.
I know the high flex option came up at our division meeting as a thing, and maybe it was with evening classes or something else in mind, but also maybe learner communities. And I think, you know, John might have mentioned it primarily because we have seen the layout at Northland Pioneer, and they literally have to do this because their students are so far apart. But for some of us that are struggling to get enrollment, that might be an option moving forward.
And then I see Vanessa says Yellow Dig's a really good platform for collaborative conversations, discussions, and resource sharing. And yeah, I think that's, I love your approach to, I don't know how much it costs, but this would be cool. Because this is, they're different funds. Some of them are for smaller things. Some of them can be built into different budgets in the college. And then some things are big and kind of like wish list type things. Is there anything, if I said it this way, is there anything weird and interesting technology wise that could be fun to, if we're just brainstorming it, even if you don't know how much it would cost, it would be fun to work into one of your courses or learning communities? Anything big and weird?
More funding for field trips of some kind of thing. I mean, granted, sometimes that's handled by course fees, right? But sometimes you got to be a year out on requesting course fees, so sometimes it doesn't really work out. But you know, I'm sure that Christian Nicks and the VPA offices would help, but we also know that they're pretty strapped, you know, in terms of having extra money. I wonder about the yellow gate. I'll go back to, because I know that Michelle Clarum uses it a lot as well. But I wonder if it's one of those things that, you know, like if you go into Canvas and you can see what other kind of things are in there. I wonder, at one point it wasn't, but I wonder if it's one of those things that's going to show up in Canvas that we might be able to kind of elect as a, you know, choose lockdown browser or whatever, you know. Don't know that it's there yet, but I think when Michelle started, I might have looked. It wasn't, but at this point, maybe it's been incorporated.
I'll say that I'm like, it's on my list for today to put in for some eye tracking software. I had to get a quote. It's going to be like $18,000 for software and hardware to do eye tracking. It's something that, but I do think it's something that, while it does have some very clear applications within my division for writing or reading, I know Mike and I have talked about with chemistry labs, everything, it might be useful for electrospectrometry. It could be useful to see how students are processing, reading math, word problems and that kind of thing. And so anything like to me, I felt like that was a little weird and maybe something people wouldn't expect at a community college even, but I'm pushing for it. So see how that goes. I will say that 7:15, I was talking with, it's not Beth, Neil, is it?
Bonnie?
Bonnie, yeah. And she was saying that like everything we asked for through that fund either got covered through that fund last year, or the college had other pots that they were able to get that for. So yeah, it's always good to ask. And then Miguel, I saw you put something in, paying for CapCut or video editing, short training for faculty to edit video to use in an LT assignment. Miguel, will you give us context? Give more context. What do you mean by that? Just to make sure I'm tracking.
Massive hit when process assignments, we added the option to do it in video with the script development as writing. And I think if we have LC branded as faculty that use video more, that might be an instant attractant to some students who want to do more work with video, kind of keep us current and kind of, hey, these LC people, they seem to be with it. They're looking at writing as multimodal and AI and video and all that stuff. So just some training, short-term, quick ways to add video, especially for if we do bridging with FYE, since video is something that even employers are looking for now.
Oh, and I forgot to mention this. So Mary Ellen just joined. She was in a meeting. We had some interest in like the e-portfolios. People were really interested in that because we talked about how we were doing that collectively with FYE and WAC and English 101, and how they would follow me to 102, a lot of them, and have that kind of like literacy portfolio. And we got some people that were emailing us about that, which I had talked about during the conference about, well, I had training for that, Heather Horn, when I did my first year in my IDP, like she was great at training all of us. So that's what I was talking about too, is like there needs to be some type of training, right? But anyways, I don't mean to get off track there, but like I love the idea of e-portfolios, and so that's something that we can think of too, of like maybe offering training for people who are interested in that, because that's an easy way, I think, to have more like a summative assessment for LC2. So, but I think people are like, if you haven't been around Google sites, like it can be a little intimidating in the beginning. So
no, that's good. That's the kind of stuff we're looking for.
So
That's
training on
excellent.
Google sites, I guess, would be probably best.
I don't think Fernando's here, but I know that I was in a meeting with him talking about study abroad, and we were talking about, you know, ways to showcase what we do there. And I know that he had some training in this that he was, I think, pretty excited about, that he could probably expand upon next time we see him. But I feel like he was also doing something with this.
Mary Ellen, I saw your hand up next to you.
Hey, sorry I'm late. I had a pretty gnarly instructional council meeting. I'll have to talk to some of you about it later. Anyway, just two things. Yes, Miguel commented too. We have a user license for ScreenPal through the CTLA. ScreenPal is not only the preferred video capturing software, but it's an integrated LTI in Canvas. I currently not only use ScreenPal to communicate with my students in CRE 101, but I require them to create video presentations to engage in discussion boards and to do a later project. So I guess what I'm saying is yes to video capturing, and also if you need a I don't know, a professional development volunteer, I can do that pretty easily. And fun fact, I'm still getting a lot of humanized AI assignments, but at least they read them aloud and on video and closed caption them.
Yeah.
So I'm holding them accountable to some sort of literacy in the course, don't know which one.
Very cool. Yeah. Any other it'd be nice if, or it'd be weird but maybe cool if on technologies or resources, either for your classes or for learning communities generally, that we can try and think through? Videos are an AI abuse resistant strategy, so right on, Mariel. Okay, let's see. So I know some people came in late, just because there are so many things going on today. I think the last thing I have officially in the agenda is just that, like, continue to share out about LCs at your division meetings or your department meetings. You can refer students to the Learning Communities webpage. We can search Learning Communities and find a class, or have students do it in class. Remind them that they want to put both classes in their shopping cart before hitting enroll. I do have that at the bottom, I think, of many of the new marketing materials. And let me know if you continue to need marketing materials for classes or to take to division meetings or department meetings, or if you are wanting me or David to sit in for a few minutes and do a mini presentation for anybody. Or connect with any faculty. Sometimes I just wander the halls and stop into people's offices and cold call them, so to speak. I did see Chris Ryder. What do you got?
Just two things before we go. Today is the deadline at 5 p.m. for two things that are pretty important. One, I don't know if it's kind of nothing to do with LCs at all, but elections. If you're making any changes to your elections, today at 5 o'clock is the last day to do it. So insurance, yeah, benefits, things like that. So if you're making any changes, do it today. Like I just had to change my vision plans. Yeah, you get pet insurance, a couple other little changes too. The other thing I was going to say is today at 5 o'clock, I'm the secretary of the faculty senate, and we have not had, I say we, I'm not collecting these, but Brian Woodson, your Senate president, is self-nominations for some really important positions, and there haven't been an overwhelmingly large number of people throwing their hat in the rings. Now, I say this to encourage, like I encourage my division, SPS, to consider throwing their hat in the rings, so that we have representation from people that, are connected to the work that we do in learning communities. I think for those of you that are leaders on this campus and longtime advocates and supporters and practitioners of learning communities, throw your hat in the ring. Consider that. There's two of them, and I can, if you're not aware of this, just because sometimes things go under the radar, remind everybody what those two are. It is
what's
the VP Interest Council at-large position, as well as the VP Interest Council Tri-Chair self-nominations. Like I said, I just sent a reminder to my division. I'm going to forward it to the LC link, the LC DL, because just as much as I would love to have people from my own division be represented on this, I would love to have people that are advocates for learning communities on those. And as the secretary, I think I have some degree of responsibility. I don't have it all figured out, as to what I'm supposed to do, but I don't think I would be somebody who would be an at-large member, but, anyway, I played full anyway, so that's neither here nor there, whether I was or wasn't. So.
And can you explain what the tri-chair thing is?
Sure, to the best of my ability, I will try. So you've got two different interest councils, right? One is the tri-chair, and the tri-chair positions are regarding shared governance, right? So you've got a how can I best describe this? Because this has been like hours of discussion at faculty senate. I don't know. Anybody want to take a stab at it? Could do a better job than I can right now.
John,
Yeah, sure.
Well, I was part of the planning for that. So the tri-chair position works directly with the VP of that area, and what they do is they kind of look through any kind of proposals and they figure out kind of which council, like how to go through the council. But what's also really important is the tri-chair also has a seat on the president's council. So it's definitely advantageous for us to have more faculty representation on that council. I think that's
PLC, right, John?
PLC, sorry, yeah, right, whatever it is, yeah, whatever. So we have representation on that council, on that committee. All three tri-chairs will be on the PLC, right? So that means 3 different faculty members, will have a say on the PLC, which is great. So just kind of, if that helps to kind of explain it.
That does, yeah.
The other thing, if I read the email from Brian yesterday correctly, was that they were looking for a tri-chair for the Interest Council for Academic Affairs, which is the old Student Learning Success Council, where the HIPS funding in our summer institute got its money. But I think they were still looking for a tri-chair on the student services, student affairs side, right? There was a faculty member also as a tri-chair on the student affairs side. So I think there were 2 opportunities for tri-chairs in addition to that at-large council member that I think Chris highlighted.
Yeah, if I could add one more thing too. On the next faculty senate meeting in December, we'll include, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll include a visit from Dr. Heather Wenger, our VP, who is going to talk about the compensation. What is it? Basically, there's a committee, I want to say.
Supervisory compensation, is that what it was?
Yeah. But the question that I think came up at Senate last time was, why is there a council or a committee or an oversight group of people that are in charge of the small pocket of money that comes dispersed from district anyway, preordained and prepackaged as here's what you have, when there's other discretionary monies that are not included in any faculty conversation or staff conversation for that matter. It's completely held by admin. And the only thing I'll say about that as to why this is relevant to learning communities is that in the past, we have had support from administrators with those discretionary funds to help do things like the Washington Center, summer institutes, leadership reassigned time for temporary needs, all kinds of things that could be relevant not only to learning communities, but all of the initiatives that are under-supported on this campus and that have slowly been withered away. And if you don't believe me, then sit down with me sometime and I can show you some data that shows all of the funding that, despite the fact that we are in an embedded initiative that has become the part of our identity at Chandler Gilbert, has become less and less and less secure in terms of its funding and support. So I urge you to go on December. That meeting is, in fact, the meeting is December 5th. 5th at 1 o'clock in Choya 110. And ask some of those important questions and make sure that we are getting true transparency. And I'll tell you the little analogy. Okay, when I was a parent of young kids, my kids are old now, but when they were little, and we would be somewhere like a bowling alley or a movie theater, and there'd be like an arcade game, and they'd say, "Can I play that arcade game?" And I'd say, "Well, sure." I'd put them in front of it, not put any money in the machine, and let them just smash the buttons. And they thought they were playing the game because they were little. If that's what shared governance is, it's actually worse than no shared governance. I would rather have administration tell us we are not going to include your voice in things, then have administration say, "Oh yeah, we care about shared governance," and give us a very false, fake version of it. So I think we should care about this, and this is not just a faculty issue, this is a staff issue as well. but it's mostly a faculty issue, and I would encourage everybody to go to that and ask important questions, so that it's not just the same people in the room asking these questions.
Thanks, Chris.
As far as the other positions that Brian was asking for volunteers for too, so the Faculty Senate, we spent a lot of time focusing on creating these opportunities. So if there's more than one person putting their name forth, there is something in place to where the Faculty Senate will meet with those people and kind of decide who will take those positions. So don't feel like, I should put my name in because, the person's like office next to me to put my name in, right? The Faculty Senate has place for you to decide, who should go kind of go forward and represent that.
Cool.
That's it.
Thank you, John. Thanks, John. Well, all good things. Thanks for letting us know and giving us a little more detail on those. As always in the agenda, you'll see at the bottom some potential LC logistics and process. So if you have any partners or potential partners, take a look there. There's also recommendations or strategies for developing LCs for you or other people you know, and resources there. And then the last thing, so just to end where we sort of began, as you continue to go through the holidays and hopefully get some shared time with other people, just think through how you're defining your community and who are the group of people that you agree to grow together with. Aside from that, if you guys have any other questions, David and I are always open to respond. So yeah. If you didn't get a chance to bounce through and check for action items that might pertain to you in the agenda, please do that so that we can follow up on some of those things. Is there anything else for the good of the order, as the saying goes?
Just to punctuate my point from earlier, the previous administration's regime had a different approach to how initiatives were advocated for. They had, you remember that couch cushion model? There was like arms and cushions and different committees fell in different places, whatever that model was, it was important to have representation for the different initiatives. Learning communities, service learning, One World, all those different groups had to have a seat in some of those committees to make sure that the funding and the advocacy was still there. We don't know what this new model is going to actually shake out. We can call it shared governance, but we don't know. So I just highly encourage, I would love to see some of you that are active, long-time proponents and advocates for learning communities, throw your hat in the ring for the tri-chair. Please consider it. And, we will all collectively help you when you get stressed out because you have so much to do. You can come to us and be like, hey, Chris Ryder, remember all that pushing you did for me because I'm an LC advocate? Look at all these papers I have. Let's sit down on a Saturday and buy some coffee and read some of your papers. You're like, I'm offering to help offset the work that will never become that. Just to have somebody who's a strong voice and support.
Thanks, Chris. Miguel, I got your thing into the agenda. Renee, what do you got?
Dr. Blue would like to say something.
Yes.
Really, Chris? Is your name in there, Chris, because you have a strong voice?
Well, I think I'm just, I got my hands in too many pots right now. It's going to get to the point where I can twist it all by myself. So I won't.
Okay, I have one quick question. Oops, did my hand keep going up? Sorry about that. For the integrative learning retreat, will there be, I know that the early bird registration is in January. Will there be like a folder with all the TA documents that we can all submit, same things? Is that going to be created?
I will reach out to Ann Lopez, who usually makes those for us, and see if she's got time. And if not, we'll do our best to get those materials built either way.
Well, I think she built one for us last year.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Renee, so we can find that and then just update
Should be pretty close.
the price or whatever changed, the dates, et cetera.
So we'll try and we should be able to have something. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll try and get I was trying to get to the. Yes. So we'll do that. Registration. It looks like early bird registration is January 31st. So we will try to make sure and have that in January. I believe, I don't know if it's on everybody's schedule, but I think David and I had penciled in a potential learning communities happy hour, maybe the week of finals, like the Friday of finals when everybody's hopefully kind of in a little bit more of a relaxed mode, if as in lieu of a December LC's meeting. So if you have any thoughts on where we might do that, aside from I think is the Copper. We've done things like that at the Copper Still. If you have any other ideas, feel free to send those to us. And
I think Pam has a location she likes over there.
cool. I can't think of anything else. Does anybody else have anything else? If you gotta go, you gotta go, and it's time. So right at the noon.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Have a good yeah. If we don't see you for Thanksgiving, enjoy.
Thanks.
Yes, that's.
Hey Dave, are you still on?
Uh-huh.
You still there?
I am.
At the faculty senate meeting last time, we also talked about how that committee, the budget, I remember it was called budgetary advisory committee.
Budget
That
advisory
committee
council,
was
maybe.
chaired,
But yeah,
sorry?
budget advisory council maybe, but yeah.
Yes, that's, that was previously chaired by, I want to say Linda, Sarah?
I think you're right. Or
It's-
coaching.
I'm on it. It's now chaired by library faculty Christine Kilbridge. But yeah,
Good. So the other thing I was gonna ask was, they came to Senate, and senators, but remember, I'm not a senator, I'm the secretary, so I don't have a vote. But I don't think there was any discussion, and there didn't seem to be any issues with it, but that council, Greg, as you may recall, requested that an at-large faculty membership, whatever, seat be replaced with a chair membership seat because of the chair's unique understanding or familiarity with some budgetary processes. So that was voted, the senators voted in favor of that, but I was curious to know if that has been filled. Dave or Greg.
Greg will know better than I do.
It meant they would have gone back to chair council and asked for volunteers. Anybody have any idea?
I think it did get filled, but I can go to Bernadette's email because I did have to leave for our division meeting because November's meeting was at a different time of the week or whatever. I think we got the person who we were looking for. Let me see.
Also, that was actually a request because that's in line.
So this is what I have from, where did it go? So these are our current members.
Yeah.
I think, who's the new one? Someone I hadn't met.
But if it had been a chair, because that's what the request was, to move it from an at-large faculty member to a chair.
I don't recall it coming up in chairs, but I missed a chair meeting when I was in Iowa, first or second week in November, so I don't know if it came up there. But it didn't come up yesterday, that's for sure.
Okay.
I know I think we just added Daryl to the council. I can't say that I could say off the top of my head every chair of every division, though.
There's no chair name up there other than Linda's.
Well, Christine, but she's co-chair. They wanted a general member to be added that was a chair.
Yeah, and her
It's
chair would be Paul.
So maybe that hasn't come. Maybe we didn't. Maybe it hasn't come through yet. If you said that was how long ago?
That was approved at the last Senate meeting.
So
if it was in the last couple weeks, it could be that
first
it
week
hasn't
of
been.
November, first Friday of November.
All right, so
I'm
maybe
just curious.
a little early then.
Because Heather Weber's coming in to talk about not only this committee, but budgetary stuff in general, and my concern was, wait a second, the discretionary money I'll attach more specifics to this. Back in the day, Bill Guerrero would have discretionary money from his BP,
Right.
AA seat that he would use to do things like on the Washington Center, or give us more money for Summer Institute that can be spread around, or support temporary reassigned time for certain projects related to initiatives, things like that. My problem, I got a lot of problems, but one of the reasons why I'm very concerned about this is because even in our own division, even in our own leadership, reassign time for, let's say, education. The ECTV, we once upon a time got, oh my gosh, 7.5 credits, I'm gonna say, of reassigned time per semester because of the things that we did. Now, I know that some of this is attached to the formula, and with dwindling numbers and registration, fair. I understand why some of that may go down. But I know that there's discretionary money, and I'm wondering what because I keep hearing the words like, these are difficult times, financial deficits, blah, 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 blah. So we need to get creative with the ways that we're thinking about how we're going to continue to support and advocate for initiatives. And my thought is, we are the faculty. We're already the most creative people on this campus. It's time for administration to get creative with how they support us financially. The creative stuff shouldn't always be whittled away at the pocketbooks of faculty. And it's really starting to piss me off. So my question, and I'm going to have whoever for sure on Wednesday or on Friday, December, whatever, is why is shared governance regarding funds from a small pocket of money when we have all this other money that faculty and most general staff have zero control or input? I don't understand. Is that committee just is that just like window dressing? If all they're doing is coming up with the parameters, the timetables, rubrics for dissemination, or whatever it may be for money that the district is giving out based on a formula that's got nothing to do with all the other funds, I have concerns about that as a practice of shared governance.
And are you saying the BAC specifically or a different committee?
Sorry?
Are you saying the BAC specifically or a different committee?
I'm saying that the BAC, it's no fault of anybody on that council, but they're only given that pocket of money that comes from the district to govern. All the other money that the administrators have is completely opaque. And we have no idea how it's being disseminated, what's being done with it. I understand that there's a difference between like operational funds and non-operational funds, so I'm not questioning that. I understand money that's earmarked back into member lines, and I'm not questioning that. I want to know, what about the other funds to supplement instruction, faculty initiatives, faculty-driven needs, things like that? That's why I feel like it's really important that not only do we get some people from learning communities on the tri-chairs, but that we ask those questions at that Senate meeting. I feel like it's one of the more important Senate meetings. Because Heather Weber, who I think is a very smart person, and she seems very transparent, and I would say the same thing really for the administrative team since we ousted Deb Hardy. It's a pretty collectively transparent team that makes a lot of sense and makes a lot of logical choices. But my question and my concern is still, is this really shared governance, or is this just the show of shared governance? And that's what I have a significant issue.
I gotcha.
Learning communities always benefited from that transparent administrative financial support. I hope that stays. Because I've already, John, I already saw the writing on the wall this semester, with how we had the rug pulled out from under us a little bit with how we were compensated. When it all shakes out, I'm not sitting here saying that the way I was compensated is A, what I'm talking about right now, or B, that I don't think it was ultimately a fair decision. I don't like the timetable of it. I don't like the way it played out, and I don't like this idea that administration still blindly supports all initiatives on campus. We just need you to be more creative with how we're funding the things that matter to you, including pay, but not just limited to that. I listed a bunch of other things too. So all those things to me are.
So I think, are you talking about the funds that like the VPs are given as well? Like they're kind of straight paid. So this is a conversation that I brought up when we're doing the shared governance thing. So the only thing that's going to go through the shared governance process is anything that impacts everybody on the campus, right? So that is not really going to be a really heavily there's not a lot to go through there because there's not a lot of things to that. So if I have something that only impacts faculty or academics, then I have to go to the VP and ask for that money. Now, the problem with before that student success or those committees would say, but they would have to say that funding and where that fund goes, right? But that is obviously gone now. So I think it's a really, really important and valid question, like who's going to be deciding? The VPA has a certain discretionary funds. Who's going to decide where that money goes now?
That's my point.
No committee.
Yep. There's no committee oversight for the discretionary funds. No.
And I also have problems with the way it was run by the previous administration because people were appointed to committees and not given the opportunity to be in those committees. I think either one is great, but there has to be something where faculty have input on that.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the money from the budgetary advisory council that Greg is on, that money includes faculty line, doesn't it?
Well, as far as decisions we make with that committee, it's I believe it's just the one-time funding is what we.
Oh,
make
is that what it
decisions-
is? Just the one time?
I believe that's it. And so I think that's the only thing we make decisions on, but we, as an advisory committee, we work to make sure that the way the budget works is a little more transparent, that people understand the different pieces. I think we're supposed to be trying to do that. Whether to what,
Right, but to John's point, we're still talking about that pocket of money that comes from the district that's
Yeah.
earmarked for dissemination based on some kind of formula that the district gives. It's not even that all that discretionary, because we're talking about, like, I don't know if I'm right. I think I'm talking about 20 to 30% of the entire budget. So that means 70 to 80% of the whole budget is completely non-transparently governed. So how is that shared governance?
so, okay, I think I'm tracking. So I'm going to try and restate what I hear you saying just to make sure I got it. So we have this massive budget, and depending on which part we're talking about, it doesn't trickle. The decision making doesn't get to faculty because we have people over chunks of the budget because it's so those like for instance, like Anna Lasecki is over a pot of money as a coordinator of integrated learning, right? So she's got a pot of money that technically she makes decisions about, and she has a council like of the 14 people for the different hips and that sort of thing to say, like, how do we want to use this? And so we're talking about, like, she doesn't necessarily, like, is she mandated to ask people how she spends that money? Or is it that she gets to do whatever she wants and we hope there's shared governance? Is that kind of what I get?
Well, I don't think it's Anna. Is it about Anna, different initiatives does that budget live from the BAC? Is that where that comes from, or is that discretionary?
So BAC communicates about the budget and then makes decisions about OTF. I can get the specific kind of chart from the charter if you want, but those two are the big things. We don't. That doesn't make they don't make decisions about the whole budget.
Right.
If that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So I think the issue, I think Anna is a bad example, because I think what I'm talking about is the BPAA. So we're gonna have somebody new in that position who has control of money. There's no specific kind of way for faculty to have a say in that. I mean, so if we want money for a project that impacts the academics, what do we just go to their office and grovel for money? Like, and if I go and get money, I'm the only one that gets money? Like, how does that work? Like, how does that
That's kind of how it used to work. I mean, that's what it was. You know,
That's what it used to be. I don't think I understand why.
I'm sorry, that's not right.
It is, and I also don't understand why the two candidates were led to a failed search. Is there going to be any explanation for that?
I mean, I know we heard feedback from faculty that were saying that, so I know that got into the feedback at some point. I heard people bringing that up, like they felt like it should have been considered a failed search because they didn't like either candidate well enough. And so that was something people put in the form.
Yeah, but so that was enough. There were some people that didn't like either candidate, so the president is going to cancel it and not give anybody explanation.